Welcome back. This is Shah. We got an update on Tyrese Gibson. He was recently on the Breakfast Club, and he shed some more light on his marriage and child support situation.
So I don't know who she is. I don't know who she became. I realized that this was a woman that was very simple, who I met in a $12 sundress and prided herself on being simple. And I don't care about money, stars, celebrities. I don't need to live and be around. This is not, I'm a simple girl.
It sounds like he really kind of fell for the act. It seems like he was only married to her for about 3 years, and I think they have a 1-year-old, so it ended really quickly. He fell for it, you know. I'm of the opinion that we live in a society where the laws don't really allow you to be traditional in the same way anymore. Often when people want something, they might profess to have certain values or a life that they want to live, but sometimes that's just what they want in the moment, and then, you know, when they don't want it anymore, all that stuff they said just doesn't matter.
Now you want $20,000 a month for a 1-year-old? Now you've hired 3 law firms to try and knock my motherfucking head off. My prenuptial agreement was so detailed and so extensive. My lawyer whispered, she had her own lawyer to negotiate on her behalf. My lawyer, Tanya Mitchell Graham, said to me, I can't believe you got her to sign this.
That's another thing too. You know, he's complaining about the child support, and I hate to say complain. Like, I get why he's upset, but you know, child support definitely is something that a prenup can't do anything about. It's just the way the program is set up. Minors, children are always entitled to whatever the guideline calculation says is the appropriate amount of child support based off of the income and the parenting time. Beyond the child support, as far as a prenup goes, the best prenup you can have is to just not sign the state paperwork. If you're religious, have the religious part of it done. But signing the state paperwork, I think, is a bad idea. You know, and he says that the lawyer really was like, oh, this is ironclad, but you know, it might actually be ironclad. It seems like they're still fighting about it, but it's going to cost so much money, you know, that he's going to have to pay. Oftentimes, especially if you marry someone that isn't making the same amount of money as you, maybe she's not making any money at all. Oftentimes, the ex-husband has to pay the legal fees of the ex-wife. I seen that happen so many times. Because I would read a lot of divorce orders when I worked at child support, because we would usually modify into them if they hadn't figured out a child support amount. And sometimes I'd see the legal fees that the judge had ordered, you know, the respondent to pay. And they can be pretty hefty. And just as another note, you know, I talked about this in my last video about Britney Spears. I do not believe that there should ever be a child support amount that's $20,000 a month. Ironically, that's also what Britney Spears is paying. She's paying $40K, but it's for 2 kids. If it was up to me, that there would be caps on child support that's limited to what is required to be above the poverty line for whatever area you live in. In you know, Shah's perfect world, economists can figure that out for each kind of zip code or jurisdiction.
And I said, well, the reason I got her to sign it is because she said to me specifically, this ain't mine. That's your publishing. Those your cars. It's your house. And if
wow, she really said all the right words. You know, it's like when you meet someone that maybe says all the right things, or they're really religious or something, but it seems more performative than it does genuine. She definitely knew what to say to reel in the big fish, if you know what I mean. When you make a lot of money, everyone is just after your money. Like, even his lawyer, he's like, the lawyer was like, oh, it's ironclad. I can't even believe you got her to sign this. That just sounds like a bunch of salesmen speak to me. The lawyer was kind of coddling him into, or lulling him into this kind of like slumber of not having to worry about this. That like, yeah, I'm a lawyer. I really did my job. Wow, it's so ironclad. Oh, we really won on this one. High five, you know. And the lawyer probably sort of finessed him. You know, they don't care. They got their money for that. Lawyers are kind of a necessary evil. You know, our legal system is so complex, and it's an industry in itself, and there are so many little rules and things where ignorance of the laws, honestly, what screws a lot of people. But you kind of need a lawyer in certain circumstances. In child support, I had to talk to a lot of lawyers because when a client would hire a lawyer to represent them, we had to talk to the lawyer. And the lawyer might be able to help you on custody, but they really got no help in terms of child support. I mean, I always felt like the people who were paying lawyers to help them out with their child support case were kind of wasting their money because it goes down to what the guideline says anyways. Maybe for custody, you know, they might be able to help in proving someone's income or disproving their income, which is still very lengthy. But I would have like scumbag lawyers I'd be on the phone with to tell them something very simple. And it's like, I knew these people were in this industry for like 20 years. They've been dealing with our office for years. They know the drill. But they would purposely they would just keep this phone call going for as long as possible. And I knew what it was for. They knew what the answer was. You know, they knew I don't need to know about the drama between the people or she's bad or whatever. That makes no bearing on the case. They know that. I know that. But what they wanted to do was be able to be like, well, okay, I worked on your case for an hour. That's going to be $500. We had a really long phone call with the child support office, and we got somewhere, because that's what they're going to tell their clients. It was a grift.
We ever separated because I didn't get in this for any of that? I will sign every piece of paperwork that reflects that I don't want none of that.
Mm-hmm.
She does not want none of that today, but a couple of years from now, you know, it's a different person.
To then want nothing more than to show a nigga that that's all she wants.
But the prenup should be ironclad, right?
Right.
They are doing everything it takes to crack the motherfucker. And it's now 3 years into trying to crack. See, you have a pre-nuptial. Be prior to the nuptials. Let's establish. And then you got people who will do a post-nuptial. We already got married. Let's do the paperwork after we get married, because we need to make sure that since the money done showed up all of a sudden and a lot of successes have, let's put a post-nuptial in play. We ain't really have no reason to do a prenup.
Right.
Some people will do that. They might even have a prenuptial, and then as time goes on, they might have updated things to that, which I guess is a postnuptial, depending on how the situation in their marriage changes. The whole ironclad thing, and he's just like, they've been fighting it for 3 years. He was only married to her for 3 years. I think it was 2017 to 2020. It's 2023 now, so they've been dealing with this divorce for a long time. And it's dragging out longer than the actual marriage. And I think the child was 1 at the time of the divorce, so maybe the kid's 4 now, so the child support's just gonna go the whole way, and you know, he's gonna be dealing with it for a very, very long time. And it's just, if he would have not gotten the state contract, he can just focus on dealing with the child support, you know what I mean, instead of dealing with all this other stuff for such a short marriage too. I mean, he would be able to save that money on attorneys and trials and all this, and just pay the child support guideline. I always used to think that. Back when I worked at the agency, I would read so many divorce orders, and I would always look at the orders that were between people who like just had a relationship but they were never married, versus people who actually had to get formal divorces because they were married. And I was like, man, it's just so much simpler if you just have to worry about the child support and the custody order, instead of like all the other stuff that comes with being in the state marriage.
So, yeah, she's trying to crack the prenup, trying to get $20,000 a month for a 1-year-old, which is my daughter is now 4. And so I have no idea who this person is.
That don't mean she never loved you though, Ty. That's a harsh thing to say.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
How would you feel, Jess?
Okay.
If you were married to a person,
about
you had a child, and then you hear your ex say you never loved him. It was just all transactional.
That's the name of the song.
That would definitely not be true. I mean, that's why I asked him, did he see any red flags? I felt like you never felt like she really, really loved you? Like at one point?
I never said that.
Okay.
You actually did.
You never think none of it was genuine up until, I guess.
You gonna just...
Tyrese is getting upset by that question. It's a tough thing to have to process. Obviously, the only person who knows that is the ex-wife. I think if you've ever been through a bad breakup and you're not over it, one of the things that might help you kind of process that is when you understand like that person actually didn't love you how you loved them. And if you can kind of swallow that pill, then it helps you see things in a different light. I think a lot of times what people really struggle with is that feeling of loss. Like, if you're under the impression that like they loved you as much as you loved them, and then something happened or you did something wrong, which is obviously they're going to tell you because they're going to be like, it's your fault, this ended. Then you're like, you're going to be stuck in your mind, oh, if I wouldn't have did this, then the person would still love me in that way. But really, we're kind of just projecting our own feelings onto them. And you didn't do anything wrong like that. There's no perfect thing you could have did to keep that. They didn't like you the same way.
Was any of it genuine?
The name of the song is "I Don't Think You Ever Loved Me."
Yeah, I don't think
You were sitting in the courtroom.
And I also was sitting in the courtroom, and I said, as they're unpacking tax returns and getting into all this shit, and they trying to unpack, I'm like, she's just sitting there like this, like,
yeah.
And I'm like, damn, can you look at me?
Right.
Can you, like, your lawyer is so
Emotionless.
nasty in this courtroom. Can you, like, it's like a sociopath. Like, I don't feel nothing for this person. So I would never disrespect her and say, I don't think at no point did she ever love me.
Right.
When the marriage happens and before and during the wedding ceremony and all these wonderful things, it's all about the love. It's a celebration of love. But when the divorce happens and you're in court and it's getting litigated, it is 100% business, transactional. It's feelingless. What really sucks is like when someone still has emotions invested in it, which is obviously, it's like you're not a robot. You can't just turn that off. I used to talk to so many couples, and there was definitely like people I can see where it just seemed like it was like the flip of a switch or something. Like I would be like, these people probably were really passionate at one time. Now they like really hate each other. But I would also see people where like one of them was still clearly in love. I remember this woman came in and, I would get up the paperwork, and it's like the guys have three choices. They cannot respond. They can sign whatever the stipulation we ask them to sign, and it gets filed at the court. The most simplest way, they agree. Or they can, dispute and ask for a court hearing, and then it goes to the court, and then the judge looks at it, right? Typically, if they just sign the paperwork, that's kind of like a home run for the child support agency, and we're like, great, everybody's happy, just pay, and we just get this case moving on. We don't have to litigate too much. I remember this lady came in, and I was like, well, paternity's at issue, this is that. He's going to have to sign. He might challenge. He might want a genetic test. This is all standard procedures, just so you know how this might go. And she's like, oh, that's fine. I'll just call him and have him come in and sign right now. And it was like, that kind of took me aback. It's like when I met the guy, like I could tell that the guy was still in love with her and was like hoping that there'd be a reconciliation. But when I talked to the woman, it was like, she's going to cut this guy's heart out. Like she was done with this. She was over it. But this guy still didn't even make sense of what was happening.
But there is no aspect of me right now, with all that I've seen and heard and all this shit that's going on in this paperwork and what happened in that courtroom, I can say, I did nothing to you to create that.
One thing that I always kind of thought to myself, sitting in my cubicle at the child support office when I look at these divorce orders, is that people who were like successful and like found success in their life were just punished harder for it by the system. It's like, if you're successful, the system comes at you very hard and takes it away, and there's nothing you can really do about it. And it's like, he didn't do anything to her maybe, but what he did was be too successful and give her access to that. That was his mistake. And he's paying for it now, and he's just like, I got blindsided with this. He's trying to process this. We had his song come out about love being a transaction, which was a great song. You guys should listen to it. Tyrese is an excellent singer. I really like that song. But these were things that would run through my mind, and because I'd see other cases where people weren't working or they were just like not doing anything, and the way the system would handle those cases was just like they got off a lot easier than someone who was actually like participating in society, trying their best to be successful, paying taxes. It's like, no, oh, you're a big fish, You know, you're a fat lamb. Like, let's go ahead and slaughter you. Like, everyone just comes to slaughter you. You know, she does, or him if it's Britney Spears. The family law people, the mediation people, everybody just comes to like juice the nest egg. And you know, the people who really suffer is the children at the end of the day. I mean, they're losing their college fund at this point. The parents are separated. They each need to pay for their own places. The kids go back and forth. It's unfortunate, you know. It's the situation we're in. It's a situation a lot of us are in. A lot of us will be in because our culture is sort of struggling with how to make this work and nowadays. But anyways, let me know what you think. If you've been following the Tyrese saga, I'd love to hear your thoughts below, or your thoughts on other stuff I talked about regarding child support. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, want to say thanks for the 1,000 subscribes. That's really awesome. I've been working hard to get there, so I appreciate every one of you guys. Every subscribe matters. And we'll see you on the next one.